Welcome back. My next guest is the comedian who became a best-selling novelist, director, writer of BBC television hits The Young Ones and Blackadder, creator of 2 West End musicals and the international hit We Will Rock You. Comedian Ben Elton has just finished his sellout Get a Grip stand-up comedy tour, and his 12th novel here, Blind Faith, is out right now. Ben, welcome.
Lovely to see you, David.
And vice versa. Now tell me, people have compared a feeling of Blind Faith a bit to George Orwell and 1984 and so on. How would you describe it?
Well, certainly I was aware when I was writing it that there was a kind of Orwellian feel to it. I think anybody who writes a novel set in the future will pay some debt to Orwell, because he created one of the greatest of all and most terrifying. He
created the future.
Exactly. It
yeah.
just, you know, it is a fairly bleak view of the future, a very different one to Orwell's, but it does involve a society where the concept of privacy has disappeared, whereas Orwell's privacy was a kind of imposed lack of privacy in that the big brother was watching. My novel is about people who voluntarily give up their privacy. We already live in a society where emoting is the way whereby one kind of, you know, you go on X Factor, you don't talk about whether you can sing, or American Idol, you talk about whether you've got a relative dying of cancer or whatever. Everybody's on Facebook, everybody wants to get on Big Brother. We are almost giving our privacy away, and I think that's a fairly scary thing personally, and that's what's central to the book.
Giving our privacy away in how many ways? Sexually, you say, giving it away?
Well, certainly.
But politically another?
Well, yes. I mean, the one side of it is a culture which is obsessed with emoting, of talking about itself, where everybody is giving every detail of their lives on their Facebook and their MySpace pages. But the other side is frankly a religious fundamentalist society. No specific religion, not Islam, not Christianity, simply the concept of faith. Because I certainly in Britain at the moment, and I think worldwide, we're living in an age where faith is becoming, it's seeming to me more and more worthy of respect. If somebody says, I believe this, I feel it, it's my faith, instantly one has to give it a certain degree of due, as if there's some moral worth simply in the fact that somebody feels very strongly about something. Whereas if a person says, no, I merely think this because I've deduced it from evidence and I can conclude it, then, oh, that seems rather suspect. And so I see us going back to an age where Galileo was forced to recant the conclusions of his deductions simply because people who didn't like what he thought, because it went against their faith, insisted that he did so. And I do believe that we are sacrificing intellectual vigour and replacing it with a bunch of feelings and mumbo-jumbo, not necessarily organised religion. Somebody's into astrology, another person's into tarot cards, but the end result is everybody sort of suspects vaccinations. You know, I don't really feel right about it. I don't think I'm going to do it. I think intellect is on the back foot, and passions and feelings are on the front foot, and I think that's a worrying situation.
It's a faith that means that people can lay claim to profundity and be respected for their points of view, but the actual faith itself is any one of a number.
Exactly. My fear at the moment, at least in the old days, religion demanded some sacrifice, both intellectual and physical. If you wanted to say, I am a Christian or I am a Muslim or whatever, it required something of you, whereas I think modern faith in this country is more and more about, no, what can we do for you to make you feel better about your faith? People talk about having one-on-one conversations with God. They talk about God having arranged for them to win an Oscar. You know, I mean, what arrogance, what extraordinary arrogance. And I think when we get to a point where, you know, people, I mean, honestly, people get a Chinese symbol tattooed on their bum and they say they're a Buddhist. You know, if you're not thinking things through, then I think you are leaving the path open to ignorance, and ignorance is obviously what oligarchs always exploit. And I think we're in a situation, as you know, Goebbels famously made great capital out of sneering at the intellectuals. They think about things, they claim to know things. We know what we feel, we know what we believe. And I think that's what we're seeing on the television every day. The Lady Diana thing, if people feel uncomfortable, it just doesn't seem right. Self-evidently, there's not a shred of evidence or indeed logic of reason to suppose that she was murdered. And yet we've got 10 years of conspiracy theories. This is because intellect is being sidelined and faith and feelings are being placed in the centre.
But in terms of the privacy thing, there's a big gap between, on the one hand, people trying to win the X Factor or something like that, which is 9 people per series or whatever, and the millions and millions who lose their privacy in your book.
Yes,
I mean,
well,
one is an elite, so-called, an elite trying to do X Factor, and the other is millions of people. How have all those people got converted?
Well, because
to getting rid of their privacy. Who's done that?
Well, because we live in a culture where the idea of dysfunction is celebrated. You have, you know, from Kerry Katona and Jordan going on about their latest breast implants or the agony of their birth on the front of OK magazine. And of course this has a knock-on with young people. We know that young people are now saying that they want to be famous. When they're asked what is their ambition, they don't say I want to train drive or discover a cure for cancer. I want to be famous. This is the #1 ambition. Why do you want to be famous? I just want to be famous. Now, that, incidentally, in the book there is a law is passed in which everybody is famous by law, and so that's dealt with.
For 15 minutes?
No, forever. Everyone's famous by law. I mean, because we are at a point where people feel they have a right to be famous. Certainly the suggestion in the media, etc., is that, you know, everyone can do it, you can do it, anyone should do it. If you follow your dream, babes, you will get what you want. Self-evidently not true. You will not get what you want. Not everyone. Everyone can't get what they want, and yet the myth is that you can. And certainly, if you look at a culture where we're all on the web, showing our lives, uploading up our karaoke videos, everybody is emulating the television. Now, look, I'm not, you know, I'm a satirist. I think a lot of good stuff is on the web, and I think a lot of people will retain their sense of individuality. I hope my vision doesn't come true. But I do think a society which begins to see a desire for privacy as a perversion is very close to happening. I mean, there was a time when we didn't all show our knickers. Now everyone wears their underpants outside their clothes. I think there's something to be told about that.
Yeah, that could be the vital matter. You've never written an autobiography, have you?
I never have, but interestingly, again, a society that emotes. Everybody now, you know, from Sharon Osbourne to the latest page 3 girl has an autobiography. Then the next year, they have the new autobiography. What have they done? Lived another life in the intervening year?
In the 12 months.
It's extraordinary. No, I haven't yet. When I do it, it'd be a story of what I've tried to do, not you know, who I am, I guess.
Yeah. Look out for that book when it comes your way, and in the meantime, look out for Blind Faith by Ben Elton. Thank you very much, Ben.
As always, a pleasure, Sir David.
A delight.